Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our Microsoft Viva Lunch and Learn. Excited to have you all here today, and hopefully you will find the session useful and get quite a lot out of it. So let's get started. So the agenda for today is going to be all around Microsoft Viva. So really looking into the world of Microsoft Viva, why it could be worth looking into deploying the platform within your organization. But for today's session, what we've tried to do is break down Microsoft Viva into four key pillars. So those four key pillars are connection, insight, purpose, and growth. And again, this is all about building a employee experience platform using Microsoft 365. Also, just to mention, Jack will be posting some questions in the Q&A section, so feel free to respond if you'd like. And if you do have any questions, feel free to use that section as well. We'll try and respond to those as we go through, but if not, we'll collect all of those questions and provide answers at the end of the session through the video recording, and also we'll be able to share the slides with you as well. Okay, so why Viva? As you may or may not know, and as mad as we were, we started Dapt during a global pandemic, and the benefits of this were it allowed us to create and shape our business, aligning to sort of the new ways of working, so all the things that were coming out. It did provide some challenges, such as having a very dispersed team, being able to engage with clients and each other remotely, and making sure we were keeping track of our goals, well-being, objectives, all of those sorts of things. So Microsoft Viva was introduced by Microsoft to really address these challenges and providing an employee experience platform built within Microsoft 365 that helps you connect and engage your organization and ultimately producing great results. So one of the biggest things that employees now have is they've really understood that the workplace has changed. So we've seen sort of the great reshuffle, things such as quiet quitting, expectations, and employees now not just concerned with where they work, but also why they work. It's quite an important concept to understand. And in terms of the way employees kind of redefine that role of work in their lives, they're taking a step back to evaluate what's my worth towards the organization? How can I provide extra value to the organization? I also want some flexibility through the ability to work maybe remotely or in a hybrid sort of way, and also to make sure that when I am working hybrid or in that flexible way, that I've still got that human connection. So there's quite a lot of challenges there. On top of these workforce challenges, we also have the fact that leaders must also be able to balance things such as obviously the increasing economic uncertainty, supply chain disruptions, all of these sorts of challenges that will ultimately put pressures on those bottom lines. And really leaders need to have a way that they can address their workforce to support them and to really help them grow within a hybrid world. So one of the good news of this is, and why Microsoft have released Viva, is that they've done a lot of research, and it shows that when organizations invest in their people, and that again is all about things such as their well-being, their development, and helps them achieve more through good culture and communications. What they find is obviously that improves productivity and ultimately improves the outcomes of the business. So employees really just want to feel more connected with the company, aligned to their purpose, the company's purpose and missions. They also want to be able to grow, develop their own personal skills, whether that be, working with tools such as Power Apps, Power BI, Power Automate, or really understanding how to work with some of the basic tools such as Microsoft Teams and SharePoint in a better way. They are there, they do want to learn, and they do want to understand all of these sorts of things. So how can we support them? How can we help them drive this learning and growth and development, and ultimately improving business results? So we can do that by what's called creating an employee experience platform, or EXP. So this is kind of a new approach, and Microsoft have obviously been putting a lot of time, effort, and money into Microsoft Viva. But an EXP is ultimately a digital platform that puts people at the center by bringing together all of your different systems that you work with. So this makes one kind of integrated employee experience and provides all of your staff, all of your people with the resources and support they need to succeed in their roles. So at the core of your employee experience platform is obviously your digital workspace. And this is the natural productivity and collaboration areas that your employees spend their time. So these are things like Outlook, SharePoint, Microsoft Teams. On top of that digital workspace, you have the engagement layer. So this is what enables that personalized and intelligent experience. So using things such as AI to bring content to your users, to help them engage with each other, to help bring the apps through various different dispersed solutions all into one place. And again, this is really key within Microsoft Viva, why we really start with that sort of digital workplace as that starting point. So with Microsoft Viva, again, as I mentioned, it brings together all of those tools that we need today. And really the way we're trying to define this and break this down is into kind of 4 key pillars. So these 4 key pillars that we're going to cover off today are connection. So this is where we keep everyone informed, included, and inspired. Insights, where we can improve productivity and well-being with actionable insights. Purpose, so aligning people's work to their team goals, their organizational goals, and ultimately growth as well. So help employees learn, grow, succeed with the work that they do day to day. Okay, so the first pillar is connection. And this is really probably one of the first and most common areas that people are very much used to with Microsoft Viva. So it includes things like Viva Connections. Many of you would have seen the ability to bring your intranet directly inside Microsoft Teams. That was one of the first stages that Microsoft brought through. But Microsoft Viva can really help promote that sort of vibrant, inclusive workplace culture. A place where information and knowledge is able to flow freely between different teams, different people. And it helps people discover the relevant and personalized information, news, resources, and apps that they can use every day. It allows them through things like Viva Engage to be able to create communities where they can exchange ideas, keep each other informed, invested, inspired. It can also help facilitate two-way dialogue between employees and leaders as well. So some of the great stuff coming out with Viva Engage, which you probably have formerly known as Yammer, I think such as Leadership Corners, which we'll look at later. And again, it allows you to also potentially connect and engage with frontline workers. So all of the Microsoft Viva elements are all around sort of making sure that experiences are relevant for your office-based staff, your frontline staff who work on mobile phones, on different devices. It's all about building those experiences and providing the right setup for each individual user. So I believe at this point, Jack may be posting a question into the Q&A. So obviously feel free to take your time to answer those if you would like to. And again, as mentioned, if you do have any questions, please feel free to go through and do that as well. So today, Viva Connections is ultimately the gateway to your employee experience. It brings together all of your news, announcements, conversations, apps, tasks, resources, all into a single destination. You can brand it with your name icon and your organizational colors as well. And again, it can be personalized for each employee using things such as AI and targeting. So again, each employee will have feeds of the relevant content and information that they need to get started with their day. And again, this can be done for individuals and also for targeted audiences. So we can maybe target different information to HR than we would do to IT, for example. So one of the things that's come out most recently is the Viva Home. So where Viva Connections has now started to shift and evolve ever so slightly. Microsoft launched Viva Home, which is a central launchpad to bring all of those tools into one place. And the idea is you'll be able to start your day here with all of the Viva apps and services connected into that one singular place. And again, using things like Viva Insights and some of that AI to bring all of the information you need to start your day. So tasks, things that you may have missed out on or you need to catch up on, all into that one starting point. This new Viva Home obviously is able to be turned on or off. So by default, when you launch Viva Connections, it will turn it on, but there are some steps you can do to turn it off if you would like to stick with the traditional Viva Connections intranet. So if you've got a fully branded intranet and you want that to be your starting point, you can turn this off as well. But it's something to consider, something to sort of have a look at. And some of the things that we are doing with some other customers are building things like dashboard experiences. So Microsoft Viva, as mentioned, it can be experienced both through desktop and mobile. And again, this is really important for things like frontline workers. What's the experience for frontline workers to make sure the information we're providing them is relevant to the way they interact with technology? We don't want to give them necessarily a fully blown intranet experience when they just need to action very few quick things. They just need access to the latest news maybe, and then maybe some dashboards or some cards for them to interact with the tools and applications that they need. So again, Viva, it really empowers you to create new and unique experiences for different types of workforces. I've also mentioned around engagement. So as you know, Yammer is now Viva Engage. So this is something that's been quite a recent change. And the Viva Engage app really allows you to foster that digital community. It builds on conversations. Again, it gives the ability for employees to share stories, timelines, news, and more. And again, the great thing about this is it gives that two-way communication as well. So traditionally, intranets may be seen as that one-way communication between internal comms and the business out to the employees to update them. Viva Engage really does bring that engagement to your workforce to allow them to have that two-way communication as well. Some of the stuff you can do in the Viva Engage communities tab as well. You can connect with co-workers and communities around similar interests, job types, departments, or anything else that you need to do that's relevant to your work. It's also bringing in some new features where traditionally Yammer was just communities. Now what Viva Engage is going to bring are areas such as Leadership Corner. So this is a really powerful space for employees to connect and interact directly with leadership teams. So this is where ideas can be shared. You can participate in organization initiatives, all of those sorts of things. Again, it's the idea being is really building those connections for maybe new starters, onboarders, and creating a visibility for the leadership team to share that common goal, share the purpose of the mission of what your organization is trying to achieve. New tools such as being able to create things such as Ask Me Anythings. You'll be able to do live events, town halls, all of those sorts of things are going to be possible within Viva Engage as well. One of the new tools that's going to be coming to Microsoft Viva as well, it was announced in September 2022, is Viva Amplify. And this is going to be a new internal communications hub that's going to allow you as an internal comms professional maybe, or as a leader, to be able to create content, create communications, but be able to send that out across multiple channels in Microsoft 365. So this is all about centralizing communications campaigns and being able to track those campaigns, those key messaging or messages that you're trying to get out to your audience. So you only have to write the message once. You'll be able to distribute it across multiple channels. So for example, if I'm creating a news article, I can create it using Viva Amplify. I'll be able to send that out as a SharePoint news article, but also automatically using AI, trim that down and make a relevant email template for me as well, should I wish to distribute it via email as well. And I'll have all tracking analytics within there as well. So I'll be able to see how my campaign's going. I can do multiple communications within one campaign and see the engagement across that entire campaign in itself. So some really great stuff coming with Viva Amplify as well within the Viva Connections and Viva Engage area. Again, so a very common thing that often gets asked is around org charts. One of the things that Viva is going to be bringing out is a people discovery, so people in Viva. This was also announced recently by Microsoft, and effectively it's going to be a new organizational and people discovery experience where colleagues can discover their people, connections, and experts across Microsoft 365. They'll have the enriched profile card experience that we're kind of used to when we hover over the names within Microsoft 365 as well. And again, this is going to be done as an immersive app, so enabling sort of more richer org browsing capabilities. So again, if you're working across various different projects or different initiatives and there's experts in those areas, it's a great way to be able to connect people with those experts within Microsoft 365. Okay, so the next pillar that we're going to look at is insight. And insight's really all around improving that productivity and well-being. So Microsoft Viva really does unlock some real-time insights and recommendations for just everyone in the organization, whether that's an individual, whether it's a leader, or whether it's the organization as a whole who wants to understand how their organization's well-being is, how their productivity is, all of those sorts of things. So what you'll be able to do with Viva Insights is, again, you'll be able to give individuals personalized insights and nudges to help them stay focused and productive throughout the day. You'll be able to help managers identify and address opportunities that reduce things such as burnout, increase productivity, a few variety of things like that. And you'll also be able to understand the impact of hybrid work on people and the business. So again, being able to address those common challenges to make sure that your business can advance with those custom insights as well. So let's have a look at some of those tools in itself. So personal insights in Viva Insights allows employees to explore ways to build better work habits, track and improve the effectiveness of meetings, for example, prioritize their well-being with actionable recommendations, such as, again, some of the tools that are already there that we have at the moment, things like focus time, the virtual commute that we can do at the end of the day to keep ourselves up to date with any tasks or emails that we've been sending out to give us action points, maybe adding some of those action points into things like Microsoft To Do. We're also going to get things such as, if we go deeper into Viva Insights, and we're doing this with a customer at the moment, doing the more advanced analytics, but really building things out such as management insights. So helping managers foster that productivity and well-being for their own individual teams, helping them build on those personal habits, and making sure that we have those regular things, such as, especially in this hybrid way of working, making sure things such as one-to-ones are still there, making sure that the teams have time to focus. We're not getting Teams videos or Teams calls overload as well. So being able to schedule things like no meeting days for your teams, it's going to be quite useful as well. And again, if we take it up that level, so looking at more of those organizational insights, we'll be able to sort of address those unique business challenges as well. So really being able to understand what the overall picture is with our employees, whether that's well-being, whether it's engagement. We're looking at things like productivity through meeting effectiveness. All of those sorts of various different things are going to be available through the Viva Insights analytics. And again, as mentioned, if you did want to take that further, then you could actually embed things like business analysts to go in and to really drill down into very specific insight information. So understanding how meetings are working. Are meetings overrunning very often? Are meetings being sent with agendas? Are people attending meetings? All of those sorts of things are going to be able to be drilled down into and provide some good actionable results to help you improve some of those sort of day-to-day activities that you do have. One of my favorite parts of the insight area as well, this is something that I actively use quite a lot myself, is the briefing email. And again, it's something that you can use to start your day or end your day with an Outlook if you are working in Outlook. Again, it just helps you remind of any upcoming meetings that you have, making sure that you've prepared for those meetings, whether that's sending information to your colleagues, whether it's getting the right documents together, being able to pre-book time on your calendar. To especially if you're integrating with things such as Viva Learning or Focus Time, whatever it is, being able to automatically do that through Outlook as well. Even, for example, if you're taking time off, automatically you're being able to get Viva Insights to respond to meetings, say, actually, I'm not going to be in on this day, and you can respond to the meetings on the days that you've booked off as well automatically. So again, it's all about just making the day-to-day sort of tasks that we kind of take for granted to be done in a lot more effective and productive way. And again, for some of the large organizations, Microsoft did announce Viva Pulse, which is a employee survey tool, and it's something that's going to allow managers and team leads to easily request regular feedback. And again, it's all confidential, so this is the great thing for employees, that it is confidential feedback. But you can pick from sort of a customized library with templates to drive team success. So I can say, for example, I want to ask my team how I'm performing as a manager once a month. That will allow me to make sure I'm making sure my team's looked after, making sure I'm developing as a manager, making sure that I'm not burning my team out, for example, that I'm not sending too many emails after hours, all of those sorts of things. And if I am, making sure I'm using Viva Insights to turn on things such as delay emails sending. So it will only send the email maybe at 9 o'clock the next day or 10 o'clock the next day, rather than sending it if I am working slightly later. So again, Viva Insights element is going to be really useful for helping with that well-being and productivity areas as well. The next experience area that we wanted to look through is the purpose area, and this is all about aligning people's work to the team and organizational goals. So Microsoft is obviously with Viva is really helping you sort of align or creating the visibility of what business priorities are to allow users to set clear goals, empower the people in those teams to accomplish a bit more together. And again, what it's going to do is clarify and align those goals across the organization so they know how to really succeed. Microsoft's really pushing hard on OKRs, so objectives and key results, and making sure that's adopted well, and again, producing workflows around those to allow people to hit those targets, to make sure they understand what those the overall team or organization goals are, so they can work towards that common purpose as well. And so again, one of the big things with the purpose is really around all of those sorts of things. It's about aligning the people and projects to those strategic business priorities. It's really making sure that those key elements are achieved. And Viva Goals is a great tool. We've started to use this in a test environment to see how it works for our own organization and also with some clients as well. But it really gives alignment from the top down of the organization to stay focused on what those strategic priorities are. So again, it helps drive employee engagement and productivity. And it's a very simple and intuitive system. And again, it uses this OKR principle to help organizations adopt those at scale. And again, with it, it brings all of these elements into that flow of work. So, again, directly within Microsoft Teams, it's all about avoiding context switching, for example, making sure that our teams can connect with the purpose to stay focused on that impact that they're kind of brought on to achieve. And again, where the magic happens with OKRs, it's not just sort of a scorecard that you update once a month or a quarter, but it's something that you can actually actively participate in your day-to-day work. So again, it highlights for your employees the purpose of the impact and purpose of their activities that they're doing, and making sure that they really do value and understand that the job they're doing as part of the organization has the benefit towards those overall strategic objectives. So it brings individuals and teamwork into those wider organizational objectives to help drive that common purpose and those common goals. One of the other great things about Viva Goals, again, it can automatically update some of these things. So again, it provides reminders. You can drive check-in behaviors. It's a great tool to use for elements such as daily stand-ups or weekly stand-ups with your team as well. And again, it's not just about individuals working in silo. It's really about helping individuals understand, say, for example, from a visibility point of view, to understand exactly where the strategic sort of elements of the organization and where the direction they're going, and seeing exactly where their day-to-day tasks are going to have a purpose and a value towards those objectives as well. Okay, the last pillar is around growth. So again, we've talked around people being connected with each other. We've talked around people having the insights to understand how they're working, how their day-to-day activities are working, and also the purpose to really understand how what they are working on and what they do affects the wider company as a whole. And the last pillar really is around growth. So this is all around learning and development. It's top of mind, making sure that your employees are invested in themselves as employees to grow, to provide better service to the business, but also from an organizational point of view, making sure you provide the services to employees to improve things like employee retention, to give them space to grow and develop across the organization. So with Viva Learning, it's one of the first pieces we're going to look at today. Employees can get access to all of their available learning resources directly in Microsoft Teams, and this is all done through a personalized learning homepage. In the My Learning element of the personalized homepage, they can quickly access any of their bookmarked learning activities, learning activities that they've recently viewed. They can also receive recommended learning activities, maybe from their manager or from learning and development managers, to pass any recommended or required learning that they need to do. And again, they can be assigned learning and also view any recently completed resources or courses as well. So again, the great thing about Viva Learning is that it can surface learning content or training content from multiple learning providers. So this can be from Microsoft Learn. It can be through things such as LinkedIn Learning, if there's LinkedIn Learning licenses available. It can also be done through any third-party learning management systems where the connectors are currently available, and the Microsoft are creating more connectors over time. But the other great thing as well is that you can actually connect this to your own learning content. So you're actually able to create maybe a learning site within SharePoint, upload all of your learning material to those sites, and then surface that directly within Viva Learning so people can start learning there. So this is a great way and a great tool to be able to build some of your own learning content within there. And the ability to do that, so to be able to share your own learning content, doesn't require the premium licensing. You can do that just with the standard Microsoft Viva Learning licensing. But ultimately, again, learning resources can be delivered through various different mediums. You're not just asking people to go to a site to do their learning, or being sent learning requirements through an email, for example, or being invited to courses. One of the greatest ways that people learnt when people were in the office was what we called learning by osmosis. So this is where you're just hanging around or sitting near people, and you're kind of overhearing those conversations. You're sort of learning or asking questions when you hear a certain topic come up and you say, oh, actually, I'm working on something similar. Would you mind showing me how you guys did that, or pass me some information on that? Now, Microsoft Viva Learning is going to bring a bit of that back into Microsoft Teams by the ability to share learning experiences or course content that you found useful to your colleagues and to your peers, whether that's through one-to-one chats, group chats, or within meetings as well. So it's going to bring, again, all of this learning and development content back into the forefront of that kind of hybrid working scenario. Again, one of the great things about it is it's all around this integration points that Microsoft are doing within here. So again, they're bringing deeper integrations between Viva Learning and LinkedIn Learning Hub. Now, LinkedIn Learning, again, has got huge amounts of resources, and that's not just from Microsoft courses. It's all about personal development as well. But you'll be able to sync content and learner records across both systems as well. So from a point of view of simplifying that learning experience, as you complete courses through Viva Learning with the LinkedIn Learning elements as well, they'll update in both places so you can keep track of exactly your progression through both areas as well. And again, it's all about leveraging existing identity providers. So if you're using Viva Learning, you'll be able to connect to Udemy, a few other courses like those as well, where you're able to bring them directly into Viva Learning as well. So learning is one part of growth in terms of the training, those sorts of elements, but the other part is around how can you learn from the content that you have within your own platform. So this is really around Viva Topics, and Viva Topics helps and enables faster learning and connections and innovation by making ultimately information and the knowledge you hold within your platform much easier to find. Effectively, what it does, it uses AI to connect, manage, and help protect your organization's knowledge and expertise by delivering them across Microsoft 365 apps. So as an example, one of the things I could do with Viva Topics, for example, if I'm working on a SharePoint page and I am writing about maybe Project X, if we call it Project X, as I hover over that project, I'll see a Viva Topics card pop up, which will show me a summary of what that Project X is. It will also show me any key people who are aligned to those projects, any key documents that have been aligned to those projects as well, and any associated projects as well that are within there. So if you can think, for example, I'm a new starter, I'm trying to be onboarded, and there's maybe a few acronyms or projects names that I've heard into meetings, but I don't know the full experience of. I can either go to the Viva Topics Center and search for those topics to find a good summary. And again, this is all produced by AI, so there's no need necessarily for knowledge managers to go and create really complex pages. AI will give you a really good starting point with using search and using the power of Microsoft Graph to pull all of that information together. But as a new starter, I can go in, I can find all of the information that I need and that I want. I can drill down into it. I can pop up those people cards, ask maybe some tagged experts around that project, or even suggested people on that project some questions if I want to dive in a bit deeper. And again, if there's related topics within there, I can actually start drilling down and going through from one project to another to really understand what the business is doing and what types of projects we have on as well. So again, one of the things that we're going to be doing in the next sessions on our Microsoft Viva series is we're actually going to be taking each one of those sort of areas and drilling down into live demos of every single Microsoft Viva application that we have. But one of the things that we're doing at the moment is helping organizations get started with Microsoft Viva. So we do this by effectively following a best practice approach to guide you through sort of the understanding of Microsoft Viva, the feasibility of investing in the platform, and that's whether you go for the Viva suite of tools, individual licensing on specific apps, or whether you just want to get more out of the out-of-the-box and freely available applications. But first, we assess your organization. So we do a pre-engagement kickoff, and this is really for us to help you understand kind of what Microsoft Viva can do for you and your organization. And again, it's really about doing that employee experience and that engagement questionnaire as well. So we help you do that by whether that's a standard questionnaire that we have, but there's also an optional Burson assessment, which is a Microsoft provided assessment, which will give you some really good insights into how your organization works and how they work in a hybrid sort of way of working. Next, after that, we then conduct a Art of the Possible session. So the Art of the Possible session for Microsoft Viva is really combination of presentations, demos, and again, it's there to educate and excite your organization and the key people within your organization to show you those key capabilities. Now, these sessions that we're going to be doing over the next couple of months are going to be very much like the Art of the Possible. We'll be going into some deeper dive demos. So this is something that for all of our Dapt Consult customers you guys are going to get as part of this, as part of your subscription to us. So definitely recommend to attend those. Again, we'll be sending out the invitations to each one of those sessions, and you may pick and choose which maybe, if you're more interested in things like Viva Goals, you can just come to the Viva Goals session. Maybe you're more interested in something like Viva Topics, if it's knowledge management you're interested in, and we can send you the invites just for those. But again, we're going to be doing some good insights across all of those different Viva applications. And you can bring, whoever you'd like to along to those, but it's really to drive some excitement, to drive a bit more of a deeper understanding around each of those sort of different areas. Once that's done, we can also provide you with a Viva Suite interactive tenant. So this is where we can provide you as a Microsoft partner with a tenant, or what's called an immersion experience tenancy, where you'll be able to log in and actually test out some of these tools for yourselves. So that can be quite useful. This will allow you to experience all of the different elements with predefined content in there, such as the ability to sort of build out some Viva goals, Viva topics, knowledge centers, for example, those sorts of things. Also experience things like Viva learning. And again, it's all preloaded with content and user guides on guides on how to get started and sort of certain actions you can complete to help understand that further experience. Then off the back of that, what we can do is we help you build out a plan. So this is our build the plan section. And we do this alongside you to put forward a business case for Microsoft Viva. So really it's that assessment to understand, do we need to, or is it worthwhile us investing in some of these areas? Should we invest in the entire Viva suite, or maybe should we invest in maybe a few licenses for something like Viva Topics or Viva Learning to help drive those sorts of areas, because that's important for our organization. If not, again, within those plans as well, we also talk about maybe just leveraging the Microsoft Viva platform that you get as part of your existing Microsoft licenses to its full extent as well. So that'll be things such as making sure Viva Connections and Viva Engage are delivered properly and adopted properly. Looking at things such as Viva Learning, so making sure your own internal training content is connected to Viva Learning, so it can be surfaced directly through within Microsoft Teams and all those different applications. And also things such as Viva Insights as well. So looking at how we can help you with Viva Insights to make your employees more productive and manage their workloads in the day-to-day areas. So depending on which route you decide to go, we can help you build up that plan around those areas as well. And that will, again, we'll use our value calculator there to help assess the business case to see whether it's worthwhile doing that. And then again, off the back of that, we'll provide a report and recommendations on how you can move forward with that stage. Okay, so as mentioned, just to do a bit of a recap, we're going to be doing 4 additional sessions with on each of these 4 pillars. So in May, we're going to be looking at connection, so the connection pillar, and this will be doing a deep dive into Viva Connections, and this will be really looking at things like custom dashboards within the Viva Connections dashboards app. Looking at Viva Engage, so how we can leverage things such as the Ask Me Anything sections in the leadership connection area, and also Viva Amplify. We have some great videos on Viva Amplify. It's currently not available to all tenants yet. It's in private preview with a few select customers, some large customers with Microsoft, but we have been on some calls with Microsoft, and they've provided us with some good videos which go into a bit more of a deeper dive session around those areas as well. In June, we'll be looking at the Insights area. So this will be looking at things like Viva Insights, how to leverage the maximum capabilities out of that. Again, using some of the out-of-the-box elements as well, but also going into some more of the advanced analytics with Viva Insights, Advanced Analytics. And also, again, Viva Pulse, so looking at Viva Pulse. And again, just the asterisk on that one is that depending on the time and availability that we'll be able to get that from Microsoft, making sure that we've got the right videos in place for that, or there may be a live session on that as well. July, we'll be looking at the purpose. So this will be Viva Goals. So again, we'll be going into the some in-depth details of building out goals, building out some example scenarios around some real life case studies as well. And lastly, in August, we'll be looking at the growth element. So this will be Viva Topics and Viva Learning. So really, again, a deep dive into Viva Topics, making sure that you can see exactly how to build out topic pages, how topics can be surfaced within Microsoft Teams, within SharePoint pages, for example, and also Viva Learning. So showing how we can build out some actual learning programs internally for yourselves as well. So again, quite a few elements to get through, but each of those will be going into a deeper dive session. And today was really around this oversight of Microsoft Viva. But if at any point you are interested in discussing any of these elements in a bit more detail, then obviously please reach out to your account manager or to myself, and we can provide some further information and help you get started with any of those at any point. Okay, so that's the end of the session today. We've finished a bit early. Again, if you do have any questions, please feel free to send those through to either myself, to Jack, to Mike or Dan, or drop us an email at info@dapt.uk. Again, thank you for your time for turning up today. I'll make sure that this session, the recording of this session, is passed out and made available for you. And also, I'll provide the slides should you so wish as well. So if you did want to take this away for a bit more of an in-depth read, you can do. But thank you everyone for attending, and we'll hopefully see you on the next session.